Adamantine, my co-host. Say hi, Sir Adamantine.
Hi, everybody.
All right, and tonight we have special guest Rae Savage
What's up?
and DEM2KAI.
Hello there.
Hello, hello. All right, so just wanted to get everything going and say hi to everybody. Um, So what we usually do at this point in the show is we do what I call the pre-shill, and I learned this from the Chaos 120 people. So if you would, let's see, we'll start with ladies first. And Ray, you want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing on YouTube and what you want to shill?
I've started my channel after about 2 years of wanting to do YouTube, and I basically am doing sort of a blood sports type show. I guess it's kind of hard to describe. I guess I'd say it's a show with no specific format or topic. It's just a shit show. What anyone wants to talk about, anyone can come on. I don't take it too seriously. It's just for shits and giggles. It's for fun. It's not supposed to be serious or anything. It's just, yeah, that's basically all it is.
Well, cool. All right. And is there any regular time or day that we should expect to find you?
There's no specific days I've set yet, but the time is usually 9 p.m. Central, though I'll
Mhm.
usually start the stream around 8:30 just so I can get it up and running. But yeah, 9 p.m. Central is usually one, but I'll usually announce the day that I'm gonna be live, like at least a day or two before, and it's usually 3 to 4 days a week.
Well, cool. All right. That's that pesky OBS, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. If you want to go to the view screen that we've got up, and you can check out what's going on right as we're talking. It's pretty. It's this nifty little film I put together, plus this weird thing. Anyway, I'm bragging about myself.
Ooh,
Dem2
bragging.
Kai, you want to shill yourself and your stuff, brother?
I just mostly go on Twitter, shit posting. My at is at DEM2KAI, and I usually get sexually harassed by Sir Adamantine on most of his streams. So if you want to find me talking, I'll be probably on there.
Interesting way to put that. And of course, Sir Adamantine.
Uh, I will be having the usual Drinks with Friends stream tomorrow afternoon. This one will be a special edition Alfred the Mediocre's birthday.
Yes, I can't wait. I'm very excited about that because I've Alfred is just a special dude, man, and I don't know anybody that knows him that doesn't like him. That does include communists in space. So, and with that, yeah, and and of course, my little shill is like I've got. I'm actually the co-host of Drinks with Friends, and then later Saturday nights I do the Chaos 120 show with Weibo at the helm, and on Sundays I'm kind of open right now, but there I will occasionally do voiceovers and call-ins on certain shows like Barbarian Show, and I may be even part of the Big Fat Show. So I don't know, and uh, and that's pretty much it. What I want to shield for now. Uh,
You've been on my show once.
Yes, I did. Yes, at the behest of our friend Daniel, aka Tennessee Marine, and
Yep.
anytime you need me, I'll be there for you, sister. So I just
Was
know that it's reciprocal.
Yeah, of course. I'm always down to stream, but yeah, you helped take down the Gen Z guy who wanted me to have his babies and peg him with a vodka bottle. He was 17.
All right, hold on a
He was
second.
Yeah.
only 17.
All
Sorry,
There,
right.
go
there.
ahead.
You see, Kai. There is worse harassment than what I do to you.
Uh,
Anyway, okay. All right. So waiting for let's see. Still waiting for Malin to show. So in case he's forgotten. But anyway, all right.
He just said in the chat that he's waiting for Discord to load, so he should
Oh,
be here
okay,
shortly.
cool. All right, fantastic. All right.
Oh, the one other thing I wanted to say about my show that I was saying on I think it was Failure Stream this morning and on the Kubite was that I'm kind of aiming to do a alternative, I guess, to not offend anyone, of alternative to the cunt stream.
Yeah, that's kind of what this is on Friday nights. Uh, but there's so many. That's what's so weird about this time slot here is that there's so, especially on Fridays, it's really hard competition wise.
That's why I don't even try Fridays. I just go on other people's shit.
Yeah, I feel you, man. And there's also Chaos 120 and the Millions of the Zoo. But before the cunt stream started adding the other nights, they were like, 2 nights, 2 or 3 nights a week, right? And then they went 7 days a week, and there had been like a lot of agreements made, like on Friday night, just to everybody would talk to each other and keep in good communication and stuff, and that kind of was disrupted when that happened. So, but everything's cool and everything's happening like it's supposed to, and it is what it is. So,
Yeah, just
yeah,
don't get salty with people,
yeah, no doubt.
The,
Um,
and almost no one owns time slots except for Failure and Tonka, and
no,
I guess kind of
and
Andy, even though he
actually,
doesn't have a
actually,
specific one.
actually, they don't own their time slots, in my
Well, yeah, they
opinion.
don't. Well, yeah, they don't own them, but I would say, I guess
Well,
I
and
get
I
in
think
my view
well,
for myself.
I think it's more of a Darwinian kind of thing. It's like
Yeah,
wherever the people go, that's who's got the time slot. I mean, that's what the big thing with all the big. Back in the day, there was only 3 channels in PBS, and they had to fight for time slots, and they were friendly with each other about it. But what they did was they had to provide better programming,
yeah,
and then especially during the '60s, it was very creative. There were all these different types of ideas for programming and stuff, and I think we're seeing kind of a similar type of explosion now, and I think that's a good thing. I really do. Um, Go ahead.
yeah. I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I have ADHD, so my brain kind of yeah. But I was just gonna say I kind of actually enjoy that there's multiple streams going on at once because no one can have a not every stream you do is gonna be great. And it's nice to have that kind of variety, I guess, to choose from because there's a stream that I might usually love, but one night it's just not so good. But then there's something else on that's really good that night. And it's
Mm,
nice to have the variety and the choice.
interesting. Interesting. Um, Yeah, I agree. I agree because, and I think that makes everybody even better. Because I don't know about you, but if I feel like well, being an artist, one thing is like I'm never happy with anything that I do, and there's always something
Same.
that can be made better out of it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and competition even makes that even more. Um, it's not really pressure, but it's incentive to produce better product. And and if you're highly critical, then I think that you even put out better product. And it's all about when you get down to it, it's about serving the sub. The people that are subscribed to to my content, and
Mm-hmm.
and if they can get something better at the same time, they're going to go there. So it's my job to give them something that they can't get anywhere else, and that's the name of the game that I'm trying to establish. When I joined, I jumped right in right at the perfect time because a month later, or 2 months later, actually, there was the apocalypse with all the shit with PewDiePie, and I learned right then that it's like there's no money in this shit and don't expect it. And if any if any does come my way, then it's a compliment to the product. and that's the way I see it. Even if it's $5, even if it's $1 from somebody, that's them saying, "Hey, man, you're worth something to me. What you're doing is worth something." So that's always a good feeling to get that, to get that stroke. Even if it's you know, it's just it's symbolic, and it doesn't it really at this point it doesn't matter, what it is, because it's just that acknowledgement alone. It just feels really good, and makes me want to do more, and makes me want to work harder. And I didn't think I was going to be talking about me so fucking much.
Oh no,
So,
it's fine.
but I did want to ask you some questions, right? Because you immigrated here as a baby. Tell me about your life, because I know you're of Russian uh, parentage. So tell me about.
I was born here, but family is from, like, it's all like, I guess I'd be considered second and third generation depending on what side you're looking at.
Hmm.
So it's like a more recent over, and then I have some Czech and Polish because Soviets, but um that's a more recent thing. But yeah, it's I don't know. You'd have to ask me more questions. But yeah, I
All
was
right,
born in the
here's
United
a question.
States.
All right, what year did your parents cross the Rio Grande, and how long are they going to wait till they get their green cards?
um, I think my dad just took his credit card and painted it green, and that's what he uses.
Excellent, man. Uh, that was all ribbing with you. Okay,
Oh no, I know.
I'm messing with you. You don't know that. Okay, I'm sorry. It's my shitty
No, I
American
know.
sense of humor.
Russians have terrible senses of humor in the way Americans see it, and Americans see, like, uh, Russians see Americans having a terrible sense of humor sometimes. They think the trolling's kind of funny.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I understand. See the way, and I have a good friend that was studying Russian, and he was explaining to me how the language is very fucking to the point, right? And
Hmm.
it really doesn't fuck around, and there's no dancing around stuff. It's like, direct, 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 and
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and the humor is very emotional and from the heart,
It's
and
more dry humor.
yeah, right, and but it appear so. It's like that, looking at you straight in the face and saying, where's your green card? And of course, you've been a citizen all your,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
that kind of thing. So yeah,
yeah. It's stuff that would offend a lot of Americans because they wouldn't catch that as joking. And yeah, the language is extremely straight to the point for anyone. I'm sure most of the people watching don't speak any Russian, and I speak very little, understand very little. I'm working on it. I can mostly just swear well, but the thing with the language is that they don't have the same type of connecting words that we do. And like the best example is um like if you're asking someone, like, you're at a table eating dinner and you want them to give them, or you want them to give you ketchup. In the United States you would say, or in English you would say, can you please pass the ketchup? In Russia you would say in Russian you'd say, pass ketchup please.
right,
You don't have all these extra words.
right, yes, pass gas up, please, and it's just boom, straight to it.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly.
which I kind of like. It's a very economical language, especially. But then again, they've got those, like those really long words too, that almost like the combinations of syllable, like combination. I can't remember what they are, like sh and z, tzhs and tzks and the jacques, things like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
my friend is her name is Julia, but literally her name is spelled with two letters, and it's U and Ya. Um,
Yeah.
and I thought, it's like, oh, that's kind of cool, man. And it's been a while since I've seen her, but she's now a psychiatrist here.
Yeah, it's a pretty it's an interesting language to study. I've heard a lot of English speakers say when they look at it or they hear it that it sounds really hard, but it's actually pretty easy and you can catch on pretty quickly once you get used to it. Um, the harder part, I think, is transitioning from using smaller words in a long sentence to just one to like four big words to create a giant paragraph, like to convey the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. Sir, you got any comments or questions?
Um, I'm kind of curious because I heard about it, but I didn't see it. So I guess it's my fault for not seeing it. But what was the thing with you and No BS?
Oh, okay. So this shit again. I find this hilarious to talk about. So no bullshit. He really annoyed the living hell out of me for a long time, and he almost kind of reminded me of Jeff in a way, the way he sort of seemed to look down on his fans um when he pretended or started acting like he was doxxed and thought he was gonna fall for it. Um and it's just his overall behavior. And when I first found out about him, it was because of Andy, and I was a fan of his for maybe a couple of weeks, and then occasionally I'd watch him, and then the whole like doxed by the cool kids club thing like really just was no, no, so much no. And then uh yeah, after that I just kind of started seeing more and more issues with the guy that I didn't like, and I forgot how exactly I pointed it out, but it was something over Twitter. I think I called him out on Twitter or something. Or yeah, I wound up having some interaction with him and caught him lying again, and just kind of called him out on that, and then it turned into bigger beef, and I he kept saying I was a nobody, he wasn't gonna talk to me and blah blah blah, and so but he would respond and I'd say, "Why are you talking to me, bro?" And I was thinking, I I know he's gonna respond because he's no bullshit, but that's why it's kind of funny because he's saying I'm not worth his time, but you'd think that if I wasn't worth his time that he would be the one who would just stop responding. So I just kept responding to everything he said, and it just kind of escalated. And I challenged him to Kumite eventually. When I kind of vaguely challenged him to one, and then a video on my channel shortly after, like the second or third roast stream. I think it was the second one I did where I was talking hella shit about him. Um, after that stream, that one got flagged and it got age restricted, but it had been flagged for hateful content or something, and they just age restricted it. I don't know if it was a bot or not, but the timing was extremely suspicious because in the stream, they had the stream that got flagged. It wasn't the same stream I was talking about him, or it was like the stream before the one I was doing, but it was one of the streams. I don't remember exactly now. I'd have to go back and double check the exact timeline, but either way, I was talking shit about him on a stream, and then that one got flagged right after that because the chat talked me into sending him a hangout link and asking him if he's sure he didn't want to have a talk. And then the video, I got an email saying it had been flagged less than like 12 hours after that. And that was Monday morning, and I did failure because I'd been talking to him a little bit about it, and I DM'd him, and I was like, okay, this is like kind of suspicious now. Now I'm sort of like, I think this guy might be, you know, just fucking reporting my shit. And then that's how it wound up on the Kumite. And yeah, that's basically the story. And then on the Kumite, my basic question for him was, my issue with him was, why do you lie? Like, why? Just why? Because what I was trying to get is, so many of his lies are just completely pointless, unnecessary, and just fucking stupid. But he just compulsively lies, and I want to know why he does this. And this fucking idiot, every example I used, because he kept, you know, of course, examples. So I had a few very plain, basic ones that the entire audience was able to see what I was getting at, and everyone on the show was able to see what I was getting at. And it was, but it was when he it was the one where he said he was on Destiny's stream, where he said he was like fat and didn't care, and then did the infamous like red pilled alpha motherfucker oomph line. And then the other, and then later he said that he was in good shape, and then later the picture of him was well, you know, the video of him was circulated, and he posted his own picture proving he was not in fact in good shape. And it was just like, what, that's such a pointless lie. And then on the show he says he didn't lie about it, when he did. And even Andy called him on that and said, yes, you did lie about that. And then the other one was the what he said on the Tara McCarthy stream, which is the lie I caught him on directly in Twitter, when I said that I had examples of what he had done. He says, you got nothing. And I linked or something, but I linked him to that stream because he had said something conflicting with what he said on that, and or a snippet of the stream at least. And I linked him to that. I'm trying to remember the exact timeline and what was said. I don't want to be fake news. And then he just straight up goes, I never said any of that. That was completely edited together to make it look fake. Which then he later admits, I think actually on the Kumite, that it was, he says, well, it was taken out of context. It wasn't the whole stream. And I was like, but you just admitted you're lying. But he kept nitpicking my arguments, going, you're complaining about my weight, you just don't like fat people, you don't like my political views, you're just a hater. And it just, I couldn't, he was so focused on his weight that I know that's kind of like his technique to get you off track.
Man, no, he sounds like he's pulling that fucking fat acceptance SJW bullshit. You know,
It honestly
it's like, come
is.
on, man. It's like the other night we were talking about that motherfucker, and he's nothing but a fat chipmunk with his little buck teeth sticking out in the front, man.
He
Like
looks
a,
like,
you know, it's like,
Ooh.
well, I mean, shit, man. You know, the dude, he's had some good arguments, and he's done some good, you know, content and stuff. But it's like, dude, just be yourself and own your bullshit. Everybody fucks up. Everybody gets stuff wrong, and you know, some people will use, you know, dishonesty as a debate tactic, and you know, just own up to it. Yeah, I was lying. So what the fuck, you know?
I
You know,
learned he's very sensitive about his weight. Because after the Kumite, I did have a conversation with him over DMs that lasted about 2 days, and I'm not going to share the actual conversation,
yeah,
but it was more hilarious than the Kumite.
yeah. Keep it discreet.
Yeah, because I'm not trying to show DMs or anything. I'm sure he would have said it all publicly, but I'm still not, you know, obviously gonna. He's, you know, I could I feel like even if I just directly quoted one line of what he said in it, he would say I'm doxing him. But
let me
it
give a
isn't.
guess. All right, here, I'm going to give you a guess. It's like you really, you. Do I really look as that bad? Eh, I'm just a little whiny little bitch girl, and am I really that fat? Tell me my ass isn't big, please, please.
That was actually kind of what he started to sound like after a while, and started sounding so like genuinely upset about me saying he was fat that I was like, I took pity on him, and I'm like, dude, I don't even think you're that ugly. Like, a 5 is technically
God.
completely average. I'd give you a 4. You're slightly under average. And he said something like, "Oh yeah, well fuck you too, ugly fat ass." And I was like, "I just gave you a compliment. I'm being nice."
Well, a kind of compliment.
Oh, I told him a 5 was average, and
It's
he
a
was just a
Russian
little
compliment.
under average. It's okay. You're just a little under average. I didn't call him ugly. I said you're not ugly. You're just a little under average looking. 4 out of 10 women would bang. That's not bad. Jeez. I was being nice. I extended a hand. I told him that if I was ever on a Kumite with that he was against good Jeff on it, I would back him against Jeff. I said some nice things to him. I told him I'd beat Destiny's ass for him. Like actually beat Destiny's ass for him because he said I was like a Destiny lover, and I was like, you didn't hear me say I want to beat that little suka's ass, and he said no because you sound like you speak Russian gibberish. I'm like, no, I clearly don't. But I was like, yeah, I will beat his ass for you. I'll defend your honor and beat his ass. Like honestly, I wish our DMs had been on the Kumite stream because if we'd had that conversation, Tonka would not have even ever came close to calling it a shameful display. And I agree with that statement. But that should have been the Kumite.
Okay, now, Sir Adamantine, do you see why I was drawn to this person?
Yeah, she's very entertaining.
Indeed,
Yes.
you're awesome. So cool. All right, Kai, you want to tell us a little bit about your deal, man? Like, what makes you so special and so pretty? Do you use like Jergens on your skin? I want I
No,
want I want a facial complexion like yours. No,
I
I'm kidding,
sacrifice
man.
virgins.
Actually, to be honest, I really respect Kai. He's a cool kid, a cool guy. Um,
Cool Kids Club.
no, he's not that kind of cool kid. He's really a cool person, and I say kid because at my age, everybody's a kid. Okay.
No, I'm technically a kid. I'm actually 17.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, then I did have it kind of pegged, didn't I? Well, you're very mature, man, and I'm really amazed at how centered in reality you really present yourself as, and I really appreciate that. You're awesome, and I really think you got a great voice, and the accent
Thank
is
you.
awesome. It's kind of I would say that's what technically a posh, if they would classify it. Um, right?
Uh, I would be classified as a commoner.
Oh, really? Because
Yes.
OZQ and I were kind of saying it was kind of a posh thing.
Oh no, I've been to the posh areas. No, I sound completely different. Like I'm actively right now trying not to swear because it's not my stream.
I got you. Well,
Uh,
nothing meant, nothing insulting meant there. Yeah.
no, it's all good. Even though people don't like the posh people nowadays, but
Well, yeah, but yeah, what I'm saying is that you come across as being a very intelligent and what word am I looking for? Very, very intelligent and very. I'm trying. You present yourself in a very respectable
rational.
and adult. Yeah, rational. That is the fucking perfect word. Thank you, sir. See, you convinced me. And if anybody is looking at the page right now, um, that's I put this little display together this afternoon just for William Stenchaver actually, who I see is in the audience there. Um,
He's
yeah,
saying I'm ditzy. My feelings.
she's ding as fuck. She fucking she reamed no BS, but
Uh, uh,
interesting. But if you want to, I do have some news articles that we could go over and talk about. Just some, and most of this shit's in Florida, man. This has been a crazily, it's a voluminous week of just fascinating news coming from the state of Florida. Oh,
when is it
William,
never?
you're from Florida, aren't you? That's right. I forgot about that.
I'm not drunk
Was it
either.
Tarpon Springs, Florida, something like that? Tarpon
Are you
Bay.
drunk?
Wait, are you doxing William? Your stream.
No, no, I was just like he had said it one night or one afternoon in a stream, and I just it was something I think was tarpon something. Anyway, or maybe it was just that turtle,
Well,
Tarpon
before we
Springs.
get into all the Florida fun, I noticed a
Oh
tweet
no.
during the stream that I want to know if any of you know about. Did something happen to Sargon's channel?
Again?
Not to my knowledge.
Monkey just tweeted out a video from who's that British guy? Fuck, I'm horrible with names. The conspiracy theory guy,
Oh,
Alex Jones is
imagine my shock.
Paul Joseph
Paul
Watson.
Thank you.
Joseph Watson. What the fuck do you want with me now?
Well, apparently he put out a video about it's titled Sargon of Akkad, the YouTube purge.
Wait, is that still on?
Hmm.
Basically, Sargon Akkad's Google account he can't access his whole Google account.
Oh, I heard that. Yeah, it got locked out. The Google Plus. Everything that's
Yeah.
in it is I think still there and accessible. He can't get to it. So
He's back in now.
he is.
Okay.
All
Hmm.
right, cool. Um, and this is all verifiable.
Hmm.
Okay, where can we
He
verify
posted
it?
a video earlier
All right,
on his
cool.
channel.
Ah, very good.
I will find a link and post it in the live chat for everyone,
Thank you.
just so they can see that I'm not lying about him being back.
And they say that we're a little more based than Randy Monkey is. Um, just saying. So, speaking of Florida, okay, the land of, to be honest, William, and to be fair, not all people that live in Florida were born there, okay? So a lot of these people are transplants, but oddly enough, these two aren't. And this is from the Northwest Florida Daily News. All right? It takes place in Panama City. And here's the story. This is written by a News Herald staff reporter. I do not have the name of the specific reporter. It's just from the pool. Panama City. A father and daughter have been charged with felonies after witnesses reported seeing them having sexual intercourse, according to official reports. Justin Robert Bunn, 39, and Taylor Marie Bunn, 19, appeared in court Wednesday, each on a felony charge of incest, Panama City Police Department officials reported, arresting the two after they had admitted having sex in the backyard of their East Fifth Street home. The two told police that it was an isolated incident. Panama City Police Department reported, and I looked at to make sure, because it said felony. I'm going, damn. Well, here's Florida Statute 826.04. Person, including individual, children, firms, association, joint ventures, partnerships, estates, trust, business trust. Oh, my bad. Yeah, ever knowingly married. All right. whoever knowingly marries or has sexual intercourse with a person to whom he or she is related by lineal consanguinity, or a brother, sister, uncle, aunt, nephew, or niece commits incest, by which constitutes a felony of third degree, punishable as provided in future. Sexual intercourse is defined as the penetration of the female sex organ by the male sex organ. However, slight or even any emission of semen is not required.
So
Okay.
blowjobs are fine, huh?
uh, Apparently, just as long as the other doesn't happen, and let's
So you
see,
can't finish either.
negative,
Oh,
negative.
oh.
Not if you don't want to commit a felony, obviously. So, Ray, you've been wrenched.
I've been wrenched. Okay, I can post the link directly in the chat now. I did put in
Yes,
Discord, but
yes, darling.
it's
Please,
not fake news, guys.
just it is fantastic.
By the way, did you see Occam in the chat?
Where is Occam? My
Occam needs some
Discord
tech.
isn't working.
He needs some tech support, apparently.
Apparently.
I'm Indian. I can help.
Let's see. If you want to go through your browser, I can post the Discord again in there. And
Yeah, Occam, you got to get on so we can ask you about your trip.
yeah, man, we got to find out about that trip, dude. Occam, is for anyone who doesn't know, Occam went to Macedonia earlier this week and has returned. Um, and he made it in one piece, obviously. And I'm going to put the link to my Discord, and that will take you to the browser. So please join us as soon as you can. And anyway, I've got more shit from Florida because Florida's exciting. Yes.
Of course.
You're not fapping, are you now? That would be gross.
Oh,
That would be
I
gross.
I don't
Sir,
think
put your
so,
hands
but I'll
down.
have to double check that I don't have a dick real quick.
No, no, not you. Okay, that was you that was clapping
That
then?
was me. That was clapping.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I thought it was Adamantine.
No.
I
Yeah.
don't get me started.
Okay. Oh. All right, let's see what this thing is. Okay, a Florida man burned two churches in Seminole early February. Detectives from Pinellas County Sheriff's Office say that Brody Allen Seeger told them that he set the fires for God. And that won't win Seeger any points down here. Pinellas deputies arrested Seeger, 33, on Tuesday after interviewing him. They charged Seeger with 2 counts of arson in the first degree on public buildings for the fires on February 3rd and 4th in St. Petersburg suburb. According to Pinellas detectives, police responded to the fires at the Seminole United Methodist Church and the Universal Harmony Church in Seminole, Florida. On February 7th, Pinellas deputies in the arson and auto theft unit posted a surveillance video on its Facebook page that showed a man dressed in blue walking just before midnight on February 3rd on Seminole Boulevard in the vicinity of the churches. They said that he was a suspect and asked for the public's help to identify him. The man in the video turns to face the camera at one point, and the video had been viewed by more than 3,700 times. A pretty decent picture, too. Someone will recognize him, they said, as they posted in the thread. That rhymed. Someone did, and the cops received the tip that the identified suspect was the suspect known as Seeger. And on Tuesday, they interviewed the suspect, who admitted to setting the fires for God. Remember, he was a man on the mission. And the detectives also related that the deputies had then described how the fires were set. According to the police report, Seeger allegedly broke a window in the Universal Harmony Church during the late night hours February 3rd by lighting a doormat on fire and pushing it through the broken window of the church. An hour later, police say Seeger broke a window at the Seminole United Methodist Church, poured gasoline through the window, and ignited the fuel. The fires caused minor damage, police say, but he's being held on Pinellas County Jail on $50,000 bond. And all right, so what do you think? You think it was drugs, alcohol, or nutsness?
I think it might. I think it might be the "I'm from Florida" part.
Probably a combination of all four you just listed.
Yeah, maybe a little psychiatric, and he's trying to self-medicate with whatever substance he's got in front of him, and
Yeah,
of course,
probably a little. Well, probably a little bit.
yeah, and
Well,
then,
you know, Liz Reptile is from Florida.
Oh
Yes.
God, please don't.
Oh,
Maybe he
oh,
just ran into her on the street and got a contact high from her. I believe at this point she is officially more meth than she is human.
Sir Adamantine, why you say that horrible thing about me? Come on, I'm your friend. You give me $50 and we'll play Pictionary or whatever the fuck it's called together.
Give me $50, you can see my meat flaps.
Oh God.
oh Lord. All
Oh,
right,
God.
we'll take a break right now and just just try to think exactly what's going on here. Oh, and I see our friend Occam is currently in the room with us. Say howdy, Occam.
Oh.
Hey, man. So, I see the ring is green, but you're not saying anything. Why can't
Hey.
we?
You should be able to hear me.
Okay, yeah, we got you now. Yeah. All right, cool.
I hear you.
So,
I hear
Occam, did you take my advice and get the Macedonian prostitutes?
No.
Oh.
Should have listened.
Well, tell us about the trip, man. First of all, before we get going, Occam, please meet Rae Savage.
What's up?
And our new bud, DEM2KAI.
Nice to meet you, Occam.
Are you saying I'm not your new bud?
You're my new sister.
New sister? Okay, I was about to have to make the sad violin music again.
Oh, negative. Not in this room. No sadness, no violins. So tell us, Occam, break it down, man. We got to know from the minute you left the airport in that big ass airplane, 737 headed out of the sky. Where are you going?
I mean, if you want to what happened on the whole trip, it all started in Minneapolis in the airport.
Keep going.
With my voice in the background. What is that?
What?
Speak.
Hello?
I hear my voice. Is that like
It's
someone else's?
Prostate, I think.
screen?
I don't hear anything.
It might be
It's-
you then.
It's you're hearing yourself because you're talking, so you're hearing yourself actually talk in real life, and then you're hearing your voice on the Discord server that's going to the stream.
Okay.
So you're not having an echo, you're just hearing yourself and then hearing it recorded back to you.
Well, when I was going to be leaving,
Now
there
you're
was
echoing.
my flight got canceled because of snow, and then I was able to get an earlier flight.
Yeah.
And then from Chicago, I flew a Turkish airline flight to Istanbul. And then from Istanbul, I went to Skopje, the capital of Macedonia. And I was there for a few days. I went around to some museums and some different sites. I went out to a castle type thing, fortress.
Okay.
went out to this one lake. I don't know, all kinds of cool stuff. I went to tried some interesting foods at some restaurants. I had some over there
You had what?
that they had over there.
Every time you say that word, you blank out.
Beer.
You had
I
beer?
think he's saying beer.
Yes, I said I had some good beer over there.
Okay, cool. You know what? It's really weird just because I couldn't hear it. Every time you said it, it just dropped out. So,
Yeah, I heard that too, but I heard the ear,
okay.
so I was like, I think he's saying deer. I don't think he's saying deer, but that would be my second guess.
Okay. Yeah, well, venison. Yeah, I can see that too. All right. So what was the best like exotic like Macedonian food that you thought you wouldn't like it but you liked it and vice versa?
If it's just based on something I thought I wouldn't like, but I did like, it was something that I at the restaurant. I mean at the hotel that I was staying at, they had like a really good for breakfast, like a really good breakfast buffet of Macedonian food that you could like put on bread or mix with other stuff. It was like a spread. It was like called ajvar, I think.
Hmm.
And I think it was a mix of like some sort of like red and green peppers and eggplant or something. I don't know what else is in it. I wouldn't really like it that much, but I decided to try it and it was really good. So every time I ate breakfast there, I would like toast with that ajvar stuff on it.
Cool. Cool. So it was like some kind of mushy looking stuff in it. It's just it was
It
really
was
good.
like red. It was a red color, but it was like I don't know. It tasted really good.
Cool.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, you said
How
something
long were
about
you in Chicago?
What?
As you said, you had to do a flight thing in Chicago. How long were you in Chicago?
Um, I was there for like a few hours at the airport waiting for my next flight.
Okay,
it wasn't
I
that
was
long enough
just
to.
wondering because yeah, I live in Chicago, so I was wondering if you got to see the hell that is the city.
Like I've been to Chicago at other points in my life.
Have you been to like just the downtown areas or like the little, I guess, alcove pocket neighborhoods?
Typically, when I've been there, I've only been in the nicer areas of Chicago. Like
Like
I don't
the downtown with like the Sears Tower and the Hancock Tower and stuff, or like the
those kinds of areas.
North Shore, Lincoln Square, Ravenswood, that kind of area.
All of those areas because I've been near one of the Great Lakes. I was near the Sears Tower.
Yeah,
I've been to zoos and various places around there.
yeah, the well, God, I can't think of what the one in the actual one in the city's called right now, which is kind of embarrassing. But there's Brookfield Zoo, which is
Been there like
yeah, it's like
I think
right
twice.
outside. Yeah, it's a nice zoo.
So how come you come to both of our hometowns? Visit either one of us?
What was that?
Said you
You
come
think
to
you
both
cut
of our hometowns and you don't visit either one of us.
your hometown?
Hmm. Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Okay.
Next time you go
but
on
no,
this
I was at the
trip, you're
airport. I didn't have
expected to make visitation.
time. I was waiting in the airport for my flights. I wasn't gonna leave the airport.
Just like
Go
schedule
through
one to get
security.
in at 7 in the morning and then have the one leave at like 7 at night. And then I can like take you out and around Chicago and take you through the ghetto, and I'll tell you when you need to like lay the seat down, and I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna just have to slam through this red light, but I'll take you some bomb ass food places.
Wait. Do you
They'll
have to
make up
go?
for nearly getting killed.
Do you go through the ghettos?
Yeah, sometimes you can go around them, but there's certain areas where there's like no getting around a ghetto.
Yeah, in the ghetto.
In the ghetto, in the ghetto.
That's right.
Yeah, like
You gonna get shanked.
if you want to get from like the western suburbs to Chicago without taking the Eisenhower expressway, you would have to take like Roosevelt or North Avenue, and North Avenue won't take you through like terrible neighborhoods, but Roosevelt, there's this literal store that I saw once on my way to my old job, and there's literally it said like kids' toys, clothing, cigarettes, alcohol, and beer. Like that was like the things they like specialized in selling in particular. It was like diapers, toys, kids' clothing, and then like alcohol, cigarettes, and beer.
Yeah, you got to have your priorities and shit, you know.
And next to it was like a strip club too. It was like only a few like stores down. It was real is hilarious.
Was it a crappy one or a good one though?
This is in the ghetto. This is on like this is on Roosevelt in the city. So you're if you stay on Roosevelt, you're probably not gonna get shot, but you might not want to start venturing down side streets late at night.
Hmm.
I realized I could be like totally doxing myself, but meh.
Just make sure this road dial's not closed, so yeah, fine.
I'll just kick her in her methy face. What's they gonna do with you're a Russian troll spy. I am Putin's main bitch. That I say that on my Twitter page.
Yeah.
It was talking a little bit to someone from Russia in the airport, and
Yeah. We didn't catch any of that shit after you said and
Yeah, just talk to someone Russian in the airport.
yeah, I said in Turkey I got to talk to someone that was from Russia, and
Do
you
you have
didn't.
anything interesting to say?
was telling me about like I just was asking them questions about living in Russia and other kind of stuff like that.
All right.
They tell you about the giant potholes?
Occam, do me a favor. All right. I want you to click on the little user setting thing at the bottom next to the headphones, the little gear thing. All right. You there? You following
Yeah.
me? All right. All right. I want you to go to voice video. All right. And put it on voice activity and take it off of push to talk. And then cut the thing on input sensitivity to the left, and then move the thing all the way down to about 75 to 76 decibels minus to the left. Now let's see if that'll help with the cutting out.
Is that working now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Well, let's just keep talking and see if it drops out. See, I see you lighting up, and I'm not hearing you at all. That's so weird.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, when you said that, but before that, if you were saying anything before that, we couldn't hear you.
Anything before?
Yeah, that's interesting. See that's what they want you to put that on your everybody. They want this on everybody's computer, so they can your CPU can share part of it, the load. That's the way that I think this is designed. So, and that's why it does the dropout thing, because it's forcing people to put, put the program on their computer. So hey, what can you say? Get it to boot up. Just download the new copy of it. So anyway, we're going to move on. Um, we got any? You know what? People out in the chat, if you would, you click that top chat and move it to live chat so you can see everybody, because somebody's
You
not
are a
being
hoe if you
heard.
don't. You're a hoe if you don't do that right now.
Oh, definitely.
A hoe.
A hoe.
A hoe.
A hoe. A YouTube hoe.
Stay mad hoe.
What is, all right, define YouTube hoe for everybody, Ray.
I would say a YouTube hoe. And so there's a difference between like shilling your shit in like kind of like a shameless, but knowing that you're kind of being like a shill, like, yeah, go sub to my channel, like spamming that in the chat and being like, I know, I'm trying to get the subs. It's cool. I have no shame. And
So
then there's a
whitey.
difference between doing that and then what I would say YouTube hoe is someone who purposely will start drama, whether it's fake or real, but they'll start it and with bigger YouTubers and kind of try to work their way up to the top to get subscribers, usually embarrassing
Oh.
the fuck out of themselves like crazy hair.
Or hey, I think I'm real.
Or
Yeah, yeah,
chambers of my heart.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think we all kind of get some names coming to mind.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say. Like I guess a YouTube hoe is, or someone who is like a extreme white knight to a point where it's like some of the, I guess you say the new people in the Kumite chat can be like just that. You know those people that the people that start getting mad at King Carl. Those people.
King
They
Carl,
don't know who King Carl is.
the king of class.
I love King Carl.
Yeah, he's definitely a horse of a different color, man. He's doing his own thing. You can definitely say that for sure. All
Yeah,
right.
I've been on his stream a few times. It's a good time.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Florida a little bit more. All right. Palm Beach
Yeah.
police. Man exposes himself at the guest of the Four Seasons at their pool. A Lake Park man was arrested after police said he exposed himself to guests at the Four Seasons Resort in Palm Beach. That's like swanky, big time swanky d swank stuff. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's like $600 a night hotel room.
yeah, yeah. So, and when caught, he was of course directing slurs at officers. About 9:30 p.m. February 22nd, Palm Beach police say that they received a call about Harry Joseph Hutchinson, 43, who was exposing himself by the pool. According to a police report, as Four Seasons head of security escorted Hutchinson back to his hotel room, he began verbally threatening security and exposed himself yet another time to a guest in the hallway. Police knocked on Hutchinson's hotel room, and Hutchinson answered the door buck naked. And according to the report, police said that Hutchinson was extremely slurred speech, smelled strongly of alcohol, and after the police asked Hutchinson to get dressed, he invited them into his hotel room where the police said they saw several empty alcohol bottles and a bag of marijuana in plain view on the TV stand.
Oh man.
Yeah, this dude is low rent as fuck, isn't he?
How did anyone that stupid ever get enough money to get a room there?
Hey man, he might have been selling weed. You never know. You know.
Uh, uh,
Yeah.
I'm laughing so hard because this reminds me of something my cousin did so much.
Oh no.
My cousin is kind of a wreck. He's a little mentally ill, and it can be kind of sad and nerve-wracking at times, but other times it's hilarious in kind of a sad way, like when because he also uses drugs, which causes me to feel a little less bad for him. Like when he ran down the beach in like Michigan naked in like October yelling, "I am the reincarnation of Kurt Cobain," and then trusted a homeless guy to keep track of his laptop and $300 in his phone.
Oh,
And he also did this
Dude.
similar shit in a hotel. He was staying in an LA hotel for like $2,000 a night,
Sad.
and he went into the neighbor's room and he like borrowed like this like one of those like electronic skateboard things. Well, he stole it, and he said he borrowed it when the police asked him why, like, why did you do this? And he's like, I was just borrowing it, and he's like spray painting on the walls and stuff, and it's like, this is like a hotel where celebrities stay. So,
See, where does he get that kind of money?
he honestly, I'm not sure, and I don't want to think about it.
Well, to
Like,
finish
was he
this,
born into it or something? Or
No, lower middle class family. If he was born with that money, I would have taken that from him.
I hear you.
Fuck.
Well, it's like some people, man. It's like where there's a will, there's a way. And it doesn't surprise me. And I'm sorry I laughed at at the kind of like this misfortunate situation, but it I see where you drew the parallels because this guy,
Oh,
said,
it's hilarious.
yeah, he said he got dressed and left his room with the officers and he began screaming and cursing at the hotel security personnel who were standing in the hallway. Police say that Hutchinson began to walk toward the security member when the police tried to handcuff him. And according to the report, he then pushed back into the officer, so they couldn't handcuff him, right? So he shoved him, and after they did handcuff him, they walked him to the car, and he said he directed racial and homophobic slurs at the officers.
wow.
According to the report, Hutchinson told the officer to let him go, or Hutchinson's family would ruin his life. Oh, he's one of those.
Fucked up.
You don't know who I am.
Yeah, it's one of those motherfuckers.
Those motherfuckers.
Yeah, no shit.
Do you even know who I am?
You don't know who I am. My mother.
Florida really is America's sewer.
It is, man. It's like my mother's gonna just fuck your shit up. You'll never have a job. You'll never work in Florida again.
You only get to say that if you're Russian. And not the working part, but just the my mother's gonna fuck your shit up.
Because it's possibly true that under those circumstances. But it said he was arrested and charged with disorderly intoxication, possession of marijuana under 20 grams, and resisting arrest without violence. And all misdemeanors, which is interesting because anybody without money would have definitely got a resisting with violence. Because shoving an officer is definitely battery. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He had some kind of money.
Yeah, exactly. So apparently that you could pay off with that. You know who I am bullshit. Yeah, I don't.
At least it wasn't a complete lie, because that's the cringiest thing. Is when people say, "Do you even know who I am?" And then they're just this like broke, sad little motherfucker.
I need help. I'm lonely.
Oh, and now let's see. Is this another? Yep, Bonita Beach, Florida, of all places. Authorities are looking for help. Identifying a man, they said, pointed a finger at a 7-Eleven clerk and demanded cash early Wednesday before leaving empty-handed. It happened around 2 a.m. The store located on Bonita Beach Road near Imperial Shores Boulevard. According to Southwest Florida Crime Stoppers, the man walked into the store with a red shirt covering his face and approached the clerk with a pointed finger. All right. The man demanded all.
What do you do with a finger?
A pointed finger.
It was a deadly weapon, people. Get with it.
Give me all your money, or I'm gonna poke your eye.
I'm gonna
My finger is a weapon of mass destruction.
or ass destruction at least.
There you
Fist.
go.
Oh. He said he demanded cash from the register, but the clerk refused, and the man laughed. Okay, okay.
Oh no.
And he was seen riding a white bicycle north of Imperial Shore Boulevard when the police caught him.
So he goes in there. He's gonna take the money. If he doesn't get the money, he's gonna poke their eye out with his finger, and then he has a getaway bicycle.
Definitely a fucking.
Every time I see
Xbox.
this, it drives me crazy, man. This is funny as hell. Yeah, I know. Man described as being in his early 20s, approximately 5'8", 165 pounds. Anyone with information on the identity or whereabouts of this suspect, apparently they could not catch him on a bicycle because he was that elusive. That bicycle, man.
See, you
Fucking
would
hell,
make
his
it
legs
even
must be
better.
still.
It was
It'd
sport.
make the whole thing even better.
Exactly. It was sporting a 350 Hemi in it.
If he
Crazy,
grabbed
crazy.
the, it'd be better if he grabbed the penny tray off the counter and just took off running as well. Days of pennies they have sitting at stores.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
We actually at the one of the stores I worked at, we started keeping the like take a penny, leave a penny thing in the actual friggin' cash register because it was like half head shop. So we would have like 13-year-olds coming in and actually just like grabbing like a handful of pennies and running away.
Wow.
And we had to call the police because then
Of
it's
course, it's
stealing,
theft.
and
He's right.
it's like this is the retarded thing to call the police about.
It's crazy. Oh, so any comments on the deadly finger and the
I think all that story was missing was a gator, and it would have been perfect.
and the elusive bicycle, man? It's really, man. Once again, the law enforcement in fucking Florida just are really fucking just stellar, aren't they, man?
Yeah.
They must have
I
just
think it'd
given
be
up by now.
even
God.
better if like he walked in there with like an actual like an alligator from a swamp, held it up, and he was like, "Give me your money, or you're gonna get your head bit off."
Cool. Hey, man, I think my fix worked. Occam.
Finger friggin'. Pew, pew, pew. What's he gonna do if they it probably would have made it better if when they said no, he had started going like pew 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 with this actually like trying to shoot it, like doing the finger shooting thing.
You're gonna die now.
When you take your Ambien and then forget to go to sleep. That's the kind of shit someone will do.
Somnambulism. Yes. Oh man. All right, and okay, yeah, this is really interesting here too. I thought this was really cool. All right, and this is of course talking about the Justice Administration in Florida. Well, we're going to look at the judicial branch for a little bit. This is in Largo, Florida. Watching from a bench during the recent trial, Pinellas Circuit Court Judge Christine Hellinger noticed defense attorney Tobias Perdue's bizarre behavior. Pardue, 47, was making snorting sounds, resting his head on the lectern while questioning witnesses. He also left the courthouse during jury deliberations. I'm very concerned that you have conducted this trial high, Hellinger told him in court on February the 14th. All of these things are abhorrent and bizarre and strange. Maybe apparent. I don't know if abhorrent. Anyway,
It's abhorrent.
it is okay. So it does fit. Okay. Um, she said he had two options: to take a drug test or spend 10 days in the Pinellas County Jail. He took the test, which came back positive for two substances because Pardue is taking several medications. Additional drug analysis will be discussed at a hearing next week. Pardue handles criminal and traffic cases at his Largo firm. He declined for comment and is represented by Tampa attorney, another attorney. He can't represent himself. Um, I'm satisfied that when we're able to explain Mr. Pardue's side of the situation, that he'll be exonerated, his lawyer said. Pardue was at least smart enough to hire another lawyer, A, and B, was admitted to Florida Bar in 1997 and had no disciplinary history in the last 10 years. So apparently, this is just something he's been able to control and hide from everybody for the past, what, 21 years? So,
People have done it before.
yes, sir.
Or maybe one day he tried cocaine like the night before and then just really liked it and kind of went on a binge
Well,
and
see, the deal is though, if it's a DA and they discover that, that puts in this the poison pill thing, man. Everything that person would have done up to that point would have to been retried. But
yeah.
and see, and I don't know about the defense aspect because I think they could all, if they find out this guy's, was high one time, they could probably, say, well, he was, we don't know he wasn't high when he did my case. So,
See, here's the thing,
this
though.
is some fucked up shit for him, man. This dude's in a
Completely
world
retry it.
yeah,
You said it was he
It's
started
double jeopardy in the Constitution.
yeah.
yeah, especially murderers, man. If anybody got off with murder, well, see, but he's a defense attorney, so that they wouldn't challenge it anyway, would they? Say if somebody got, if they lost their case and they get put in prison, they could say, well, this dude must have been fucked up and didn't do my case right, right? And so they get a whole new trial all over again. They would get let out. So either
It's whole
go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
No, no,
No, go ahead.
no.
You go.
You were saying what I was going to say. Go ahead.
Is it I was just going to say it's a funny like like a situation, but it's actually really serious.
See, I don't know that they would be able to do any retrials because of the Constitution. Doesn't it say something about you can't have double jeopardy where you have the same crime going for trial more than once?
That's usually on like murder. I think that's one of there's only a few crimes that I think fit double jeopardy. I'll look it up real quick, but I think that murder may be the only one.
It even that I wonder if it would. I mean, you're looking it up right now, so you'll probably tell me in a second. But sometimes I know it doesn't. But I think that if even if it was for murder, that if especially if you never pleaded guilty, that if the judge was found to be using drugs or the attorney, whatever the person in a court might have, like whatever person of power, that you would be able to at least ask for an appeal.
Yeah, I think so. All right, here it is. This double jeopardy clause in the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution provides that, quote, no person shall be subject to the same offense, all right, to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. So that means only death penalty, right?
Because I know in some countries they'll like try someone and they'll be innocent, and then they'll try them again in a completely different trial, and then they'll go to jail or get killed.
Right. So what does that sound like to you, sir? Because you hang around lawyers sometimes.
Oh, I don't know. That sounds fucked up.
No, I mean the wording of the Fifth Amendment. Does that sound like it?
I'm assuming that would be, well, definitely for death penalties, probably for life sentences too.
Okay. All right. So that's pretty much just murder stuff, I would think then. Which is interesting the way that it's worded.
I mean,
I need
I
to
would think
reread
it would
the
be applied for
Constitution.
everything.
It's been so long since I've read the Constitution. I need to pick it back up and peruse, especially those the stuff, the amendments in the middle. you know.
Yeah, I have a tendency to forget those. I can proudly say that I have read it on my own, and not only when I was forced to in high school, so I can proudly say I am one of the probably a minority group of people who have done that. But I haven't I haven't read it in a few years either. A long enough period of time where I've forgotten more than I remember.
I hear you. And I can say that about everything. So um, I
Reading
understand.
my constitution is very easy. It's blissfully easy.
Yeah,
They don't have one.
they don't have one.
Yeah, I know.
I know.
Where do you live?
Britain, London.
Ooh.
You adopt a constitution at some point in time?
No. I can get done for hate speech.
Isn't that crazy, man?
Yeah.
That's you need to come to America, man.
I
At
probably will
least at
sometime.
this point in time, you can still say what the fuck you want to.
Right now I
Depending
can.
on depending on the platform.
I need to make sure no one doxes me, so I'm all good.
That's right. All
Well,
right.
you could go to Russia. You can say pretty much anything you want online as long as you have a VPN. In public, you're gonna have to censor yourself a little more than in America. But
And you're not gay.
yeah, you can't. Being gay is gonna be a little looked down upon. You
So
won't be put in jail for it.
Which is ironic, by the way, because a lot of good gay porn comes out of Russia.
it's the
Yeah,
perfect place for me to run away from Adamantine.
it's it's actually being more accepted somewhat by the younger generation. But I'd say if you can't go to the U.S., Russia should be your backup choice. Also, the government is working on creating enough bunkers to shelter every citizen in the country. Well, not every just every citizen, but every person in the country in the event of an all-out like nuclear war. So there is that. You will get shit for being gay, but you'll be safe if nuclear war breaks out.
You know what well, yeah, and that, I heard that the best place to go if you were to leave the United States, and the nuclear thing is taken into contention too because it's not a huge target politically or defensively for either country, is New Zealand.
Yeah. I was gonna say I was hoping you were gonna say
Kiwi
that.
bastards.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they've got really open gun laws and shit. I mean, it's really interesting that whole country, the way that they're set up, and particularly if you're Caucasian, which I find interesting. Which
The Caucasian persuasion.
yeah. I thought that was interesting the way that the guy was telling me. It's like, yeah, especially if you're white. And I'm going, what do you mean by that? And he said, he was real vague, would danced around it, and I don't understand that. So
Like, are they
obviously,
racist down there or what?
I don't know. There's some kind of big secret about it. So I'll try to find somebody that knows something about that shit and ask them because, now that we're talking about it, it's like I never found out, and it's like, well, what did he mean by that? Now, whatever. Um,
Personally, I would go to if I had to go somewhere other than Chile.
other than what?
If I had to move somewhere other than the U.S., I would go to Chile.
Chile.
I'm pretty going to India.
Yeah.
I'll be staying with family. I'll be living the luxurious life.
Yeah.
I'd probably go to Russia.
Isn't India? In
Probably
India.
go to Moscow, Russia.
Yeah.
Moscow is beautiful.
Yeah, it is a pretty town. I love the buildings. I love that architecture.
The Kremlin, that would be really cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The old Politburo, all that stuff.
You gotta go see the like rural parts though too. You can't just go to the cities.
Oh, see, I would go to Volgograd and Kursk. I want to see the steppes in Kursk, where the greatest tank battle that ever occurred in the history of mankind occurred. So I'm
To see
I'm big
the
into
mountains
World War
in
II and stuff.
Siberia.
The great what do they call it? The Great Patriotic War. The, the Russians refer to World War II as the Great Patriotic War.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, and I understand why, because they lost a shitload of people. So um, it's interesting. People don't
The,
understand the dynamic between all of the Soviet Union, Britain, and the United States were actually
it is
very,
complicated.
yeah. Well, back during World War II, um, there was this thing called the Lend-Lease program where Britain and the United States, it was primarily the United States, provided Russia because of Stalin made a huge mistake when he took over, and he killed just about everybody that was a capable general, anybody of high rank in the military or in the military or what word I'm looking for? Oh shit! I want to say administrative. That's it. Structure of the government. He had them all killed, and had them replaced. With people that he was, perfectly controllable and usually of lesser intellect. So, and also the equipment wasn't up to par because of these guys were not the brightest bulbs on the tree, right? So the U.S. We sent a bunch of tanks, a bunch of trucks, just basic support equipment, and that allowed the Soviet Union to move everything behind the Ural Mountains, factory wise. They were producing. They had been producing the T-34. It was in small amounts, and then in Stalingrad, the main T-34 plant was destroyed, so they had to take everything and move it behind the Urals. And once they did that, they got their industrial complex rolling big time, and then they cranked out the equipment and the designs. Uh, you know. That were able to facilitate the winning of the war. We helped the U.S. helped Russia get to a point of where they could get back on their feet and get solid, and then boom, that was a humongous machine after that. It was and there became two superpowers, and it's just
And then
always,
there,
yeah, the Lend Lease program. It's a lot of people don't know about it, especially people like communists in space, or he cleverly forgets about it, conveniently forgets about it.
Fucking commie.
Yeah, I know. He's just hey, it is what it is. It's a religion. It's just a religion, man. So, all right, and I was just looking at this thing, and I thought, would they be interested? I'm kind of interested. Just before the Oscars are, I believe, Sunday, aren't they?
I don't
Um,
know. I won't be watching.
all
But
right. Yeah, in Los Angeles, Harvey Weinstein won't be attending to the Sunday Oscar ceremony, but the film producer's presence will be long felt in Hollywood. Los Angeles-based street artist Plastic Jesus on Thursday unveiled a statue called Casting Couch, depicting a life-size Harvey Weinstein clothed in a bathrobe sitting on a golden-colored couch holding an Oscar where his dick is. And it was installed near the Hollywood venue where the Academy Awards ceremony is going to be held. More than 70 women have accused of Weinstein of sexual misconduct, including rape. Weinstein has denied non-consensual sex with anyone. His representative did not respond to requests for a comment on this installation. So,
By the way, I have very little patience for that Me Too shit.
yeah, and I think you can look at this sculpture as a fuck you to everybody, to both sides of that deal, and to Hollywood in general. Um, you know,
If someone's legitimately raped, you call the cops the same day, or at least at the very most the next day. You don't claim it 20 years later.
right?
no,
Waiting
yeah,
30,
absolutely.
20, 30 years is ridiculous.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Like there should be some sort of statute of limitations on
There
that.
is.
there
There's
it
7
is.
years.
Hmm.
but you can still fuck someone's life up with a claim later than 20 years. See, I understand if it's not reported the same day in certain situations, but I would look at that as more of like a domestic type situation where it's like a husband wife, or it's like a if someone's really like young, like let's say it's like a teenage girl or teenage boy or someone who doesn't fully comprehend the whole situation. Um, and in that case, it's like 2 years later they tell someone, "Oh yeah, I was raped." That's like I totally understand that, but I've never talked to someone who was in that kind of situation who that actually took it to the cops like that much later. Like they just went and sought help for themselves. Because at that point, it's like, what? I don't want to deal with this.
I think that every crime should have a statute of limitations of 1 year. If you don't report a crime within a year, then what were you doing that whole time?
I think it really should depend situation to situation. I think the general like 7 year is usually a good indicator because there's some things that can happen where in a year that you literally might not be able to report for a year, like I said, like in like a domestic situation. If like a father is abusing his daughter or something, she might not be able to report that
Right.
like at all, and it's sort of like one of those she might not be able to report until she's 18 or something, and that's why you want that statute of limitations, because there are situations where someone is like totally unable to report anything. But I do see where you're coming from, because in most cases, overall, yeah, you should be reporting this shit immediately.
I also in particular have no patience with the whole casting couch thing. I mean, you want to be in certain careers, there's prices you pay to be, and that's one of them. I mean, I'm not saying it's not unsavory, but how many of these actresses or even actors are so deluded as to think they got there based on their talent as opposed to...
Well, it's interesting because Uzi Q and I were talking the other day about how like actors in this country are so much different than like Great Britain, because and you'll notice that all good actors, especially on like BBC or Channel 4 or ITV, in Great Britain. They're not always gorgeous people, but they're fucking fantastic actors, and that's because they literally go through this gauntlet of theater. And I mean, they do hardcore theater, and then of course they've got to go through this Shakespeare thing, where I mean it's like part of the tradition. That you do so much Shakespeare for so many years. You do live for so many years, and then they approach the business of film or television. And in the United States, if all you got to be is pretty and know the right people or suck the right dick, and
you'll have a way to get into child acting, and then you'll already almost have a career set up for you. Like,
I missed the first part of that.
Really lucky, you'll be one of the
If you're really lucky.
children that gets to go into child acting, like into movies and stuff like that, acting like a...
child actors don't have a sterling history of happy endings.
Yeah,
they usually don't make it to 30, at least not without turning into a vegetable.
Yeah, but I think he was saying that
if you end up being a child actor, it can open a door even earlier on with less work for you to personally put into an acting career. Potentially.
Yeah, but it comes with a price. If you've listened to I know it's crazy to tell you to go to this channel, especially in a blood sports community, but Shane Dawson actually has some, well, they're conspiracy theory videos, but what he talks about in some of them with what child actors go through in Hollywood is actually completely factual. And yeah, it's there's a lot of pedophilia and abuse to the children and stuff. And they can't really report that either, which is terrible.
Well,
Um,
and then there's the parents that rip their children off and just
yep.
just take the money and just use their children like like they're fucking a commodity, and they work them to death, and then they waste all that money, and they're supposed to set aside. They're supposed to create a trust for their child and put that money in there because that's that child's money. That's not their money. They can maybe take a 10%, like fee, like an agent would take or something like that. But
Or the
but
money to buy your child, stuff they need.
right, you take like 15 or 20%, 10 for you, and then 10, for what the kid needs, and the rest goes in that trust. So when they become adults, they can use that money because they earned it.
Hmm.
So yeah, it can be a horrible situation, for that thing. And I want to like kind of be clear on something. The concept of what we're doing here is not part of what I would consider the blood sport thing. But we kind of like put this together when all the everybody was like doing the skeptic quote skeptic thing in
Yeah.
the community, and I think that
Community.
yeah, I don't like those terms, like skeptic or blood sport, because I think that a lot of people are just bandwagoning on that shit, and
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
it's like we were
agree. I
talking
just
earlier, about like wanting to give your the people that subscribe to your stuff, the best that you can give them,
yeah.
and if what you do well is like it's like somebody was giving Andy Worski shit for being for hosting a show, and that's really what he does well. He's not a good at arguing or at the verbal pugilism part of it, but he's a fantastic master of ceremonies, and he knows how to put people together and kind of generate that, stir the shit. There's an art to that, and fucking Tonka's a
Absolutely.
master at that shit. He can agitate people without saying too much at all. He can just throw them in there.
I think he agitates them more when he doesn't say anything, when he just does the angry Tonka like mumble grunt. No, the only reason I use the blood sport and community word is just because I know some of the people in the chat, and I see the crossover to the
Yeah,
Kumite and stuff, and
yeah.
so I I know they're in a general, and I can't think of a better word than, I guess, community, a group of people
Hmm.
who watch similar content. Because yeah, I wouldn't say your channel's like a blood sport type debate thing, really, very much. It's more of like a chill discussion, type of hangout, that type of thing.
Yeah, and we kind of like to laugh a lot here. It's kind
Yeah,
of
chill
laid back.
discussion
Right?
hangout.
Yeah, kind of poking fun at the society and having fun, and then we do kind of take those deep and heavy left turns, and um, kind of bummed Bearing out when he was on here, because we were talking about this shit, and I started thinking, God damn, this motherfucker is pitiful, and it was like it got real quiet and shit. And everybody was like, holy, okay, cringy, cringy. Let's move on. So
Yeah,
yeah, this is a crazy thing, man. But it's like it was a big deal for me. It's like, and I kind of felt like I was, shit all over the place. So, but it didn't, it didn't just, it was okay. It ended up being all right. So,
I've
um,
had that experience, yeah, before too.
yeah. The great cringe.
Yeah, when Andy invited me on his one stream, and I had never done a live stream before. And I was like, I gave everyone in the audience stage 4 cancer. My bad. Like he had put in the side chat at one point, be like, Rae, do you think you would be able to leave? It's getting a little crowded. Like, we'll definitely be able to talk at a later point. And I didn't have a chance to say anything because I just kind of kicked myself right away. But I was about to say, I'm gonna head out because, yeah. Uh, and I was like, oh, Andy's gonna hate me. But he's actually been nothing but nice to me since then. I've talked to him a few other times.
Well, good. That's awesome. Where do we go from here? We got. It looks like we got. You know what? I'm gonna
Question.
Okay, exit.
Is Rae Savage your real name?
No, Savage is not my last name. The name came from so it goes back to middle school when I was in 6th grade. So something you should probably know about me is that I was not I got into the whole like goth punk scene at a very young age. I started listening to like rock and heavy metal. Like I'd be on the school bus in 5th grade on the way to school, like jamming out to fucking Korn. And so in 6th grade, I got into a fight with 3 other girls, like a physical encounter, and I was tall for my age then because I was 12, and they were all taller for their ages too. But I took them all down with only one swing to each. And after that, my one friend dubbed me Rae Savage because I had always been kind of, like snappy and quick tempered, and I always have been. But that kind of gained me that title. So it was a cringy middle school nickname that when I need a YouTube username, and I just typed in the first thing that came to mind, and I regret it a little bit. It's a little cringy, but
I didn't think anything about that was cool.
It doesn't seem cringy. I just wanted to ask because if it was your real name, that was kind of funny. I thought.
No, it's not my real name. Rae is actually short for my full real first name. So.
Oh, sweet. Well, Kai,
Yes.
anybody have any questions for our friend Kai? He's just been sitting there,
Yeah.
been kind of quiet.
What's your YouTube channel called?
Same as everything, DEM2KAI. Why? Because I'm not really my own. I don't YouTube myself. I'm more of I join people's streams and do interesting things and listen.
So you're a stream surfer.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. It's like I'm noticing that more and more, like because there's more streaming going on, and streaming it seems to be it's going to be like the what word am I looking for? I guess the primary mode of presentation in this medium at this point in time.
Yeah.
So
Kai's one of my little stream whores.
well, yeah, man. You're just a lech, and your harem is coming together quite nicely, though.
I got a fine collection.
Oh,
Are
right.
in your collection so far?
What's that?
Is it how many people are in your collection so far?
Oh, like 5, I think.
Yeah. I was going to tell Rae how you and I met, Sir Adamantine.
How did we meet?
you and I, don't you remember? I had that. I was doing a stream with
Oh yeah, yeah. Charming man and Whitey.
Charming Man. It was Charming Man, Whitey, and Captain Cummings. And Captain Cummings and Charming Man were both shit faced. And you were in the chat, and you said, hey, would you mind if I popped on? I said, fuck, why not? And you had been drinking a little bit too, so
I was no, I wasn't drinking a little bit. I was the stage before blackout drunk.
well, hey, Captain Cummings was like he was like about 2 hours ahead of you in the drinking though. I think I think he's a former Navy. But yeah, he was lit, and then, remember he left. We don't know what happened to him. It's just like he just disappeared from the stream, and then after the stream was over, we hung out and we talked for almost 6 hours, just hanging out, just talking about all kinds of stuff, and it was pretty cool, man. So yeah, he's turned out to be
Oh, that's right. I
a
remember
great
the
good
next
friend.
day.
Yeah,
I remember the next day I was getting DMs from I think both you and Uzi. Where they were kind of like, "Are you okay?" It was basically checking to see if I drank myself to death.
yeah, to make sure you didn't leave Las Vegas. Um,
And it's been all downhill since then.
well, no, I don't think so. Like we've been having a good time, so it's been
Yeah,
a crazy little ride.
I will say the stream I do is I think that's pretty much a one of a kind concept.
It is, man. Just
Get ripped and sexually harass your co-host.
it's like I'd say it would be the YouTube equivalent of I don't know, sexual survivor. You know, outlive, outlong, outlast, or whatever. And then how long can you handle Sir Ad? Lechfully mentally undressing you, and if you're a male, and just and of course I'm not the target of any of this stuff. I'm just the co-host. I'm the Abe McMahon on his deal. So all I do is sit and laugh.
And I'm the one who slowly dies inside.
Yeah, all of you love it, and you know it.
Yeah, it's
I
fun,
just
man.
appear in the comment section sometimes. I mean, the live chat and say some stuff.
Yeah, speaking up, man, when's the next time you darken the doors of your workplace? Mock 'em, mock 'em.
You mean when do I have another video coming up?
No, when's the next time you go to your job, your grease pit
Um,
job?
I don't remember if it's Sunday or Monday.
Okay. Well, yeah, keep me open on that because I might want to talk to you on Sunday afternoon if you got time. Yes, yes, money penny. So, yeah, we got it's a quarter till, and I'm out of ideas and out of Colleen Bernier's magic.
So I don't want to hog up any more time. Yeah.
No, you're doing great, man. That's why we're here. That's why I do these things. Is I do it to kind of highlight people, and when I first time I heard you, and then when we did that thing the other night, I said, man, I want to know more about this person, and that's why I do it. I want to. I met Kai. I want to know more about Kai. So that's the reason. That's really the reason I started doing this thing. And the whole concept was to draw from content provider and from people from the chats, right? Because I cruise all the chats that I can. Like you've seen me at Kumite chat. Um, and just about anything, Worski chat. I'm actually a wrench on Worski, and I'm a wrench. I can't remember who else, but yeah, Sinatra has wrenched me, and somebody else. So I go into all these chats and I meet these people, and so my idea was to, take somebody that's got, a little more profile, and then somebody that's from the chats or from or just like what Kai does, kind of like the stream surfing thing. So, and put people together and then talk about stuff and then, kind of laugh and yuck a little bit or get serious. And that's kind of the whole idea behind it. So tell me more about Ray, because you know what? I know that swimming pool is deep.
Well, I appreciate you giving me a platform and having me on. I mean, I appreciate that, and I honestly think what you're doing with the show is a really good idea. It's something that needs to be done, and something that I could see being really really successful actually, because everyone kind of needs that stepping stone, I guess, to kind of promote their stuff without just spamming links, and but also kind of, I guess, make relationships with other creators and streamers and whatnot. And I just really like the idea of what you're going for. I think that's very unique, and you have a good setup here. I like it. I like it a lot, and yeah, there's a lot of shit I could delve into about myself, but that would take a long time. I'm a survivalist. I love survivalism, and I'm a black belt in Taekwondo.
Oh wow,
Damn.
Oh shit.
you and Weibo, goddamn,
I was just gonna say she's Weibo too.
she's Russian Weibo.
Mm.
That's scary as fuck.
Holy fucking hell.
Let's see. Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. One thing I did know is the rake. The story from the creepy pastas, right?
Yeah.
Tell that story. Well, we got 10 minutes. Tell the rake story for us.
You want me to read the creepypasta?
Is it too long for 10 minutes, or
No,
can we
it's
get it?
pretty short.
Okay, let's do it. And read it in your
Do-
scariest
do
voice.
Dramatic reading.
Yes.
Okay. Let me find it.
Nobody fart.
Loading. It should be yeah, it should be a pretty short read.
Which version is this, from the wiki or what?
This is the one on creepypasta.org.
Gotcha. That's a good good site for the good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. During the summer of 2003, events in the northeastern United States involving a strange human-like creature sparked brief local media interest before an apparent blackout was enacted. Little or no information was left intact, and most online and written accounts of the creature were mysteriously destroyed. Primarily focused in rural New York State, self-proclaimed witnesses told stories of their encounters with a creature of an unknown origins. Emotions ranged from extremely traumatic levels of fright and discomfort to an almost childlike sense of playfulness and curiosity. While their published versions are no longer on record, the memories remain powerful. Several involved parties began looking for answers that in early 2006, a collaboration had accumulated of nearly 24 documents dating back to the 12th century and present day, spanning 4 continents. In almost all cases, the stories were identical. I've been in contact with a member of this group and was able to get some experts from their upcoming book, The Rake, Suicide Note, 1964. As I prepare to take my life, I feel it necessary to assert any guilt or pain I have introduced through this act. It is not the fault of anyone other than him. For once I awoke and felt his presence, and once I awoke and saw his form. Once again I awoke and heard his voice and looked into his eyes. I cannot sleep without fear of what I might awake next to experience. I cannot ever wake. Goodbye. Found in the same wooden box were 2 empty envelopes addressed to William and Rose, and 1 loose personal letter with no envelope. Dearest Linny, I've prayed for you. He spoke your name. A journal entry translated from Spanish, 1880. I have experienced the greatest terror. I have experienced the greatest terror. I've experienced the greatest terror. I see his eyes when I close mine. They are hollow black. They saw me and pierced me. His wet hand. I will not sleep. His voice is unintelligible text. Mariner's log, 1691. He came to me in my sleep. From the foot of my bed, I felt a sensation. He took everything. We must return to England. We shall not return here again at the request of the Reich. From a witness, 2006. 3 years ago, I had just returned from a trip from Niagara Falls with my family for the 4th of July. We were all very exhausted after a long day of driving, so my husband and I put the kids right to bed and called it a night. At about 4 a.m., I woke up thinking my husband had gotten up to use the restroom. I used the moment to steal back the sheets, only to wake him in the process. I apologized to him and told him I thought he had got out of bed. When he turned to face me, he gasped and pulled his feet up from the end of the bed so quickly his knee almost knocked me out of the bed. Then he grabbed me and said nothing. After adjusting to the dark for half a second, I was able to see what caused the strange reaction. At the foot of the bed, sitting and facing away from us, there was what appeared to be a naked man or a large, hairless dog of some sort. Its body position was disturbing and unnatural, as if it had been hit by a car or something. For some reason, I was not instantly frightened by it, but more concerned as to its condition. At this point, I was somewhat under the assumption we were supposed to help him. My husband was peering over his arm or his knee, tucked into the fetal position, occasionally glancing at me before returning to the creature. In a flurry of motion, the creature scrambled around the side of the bed and crawled up in a flailing sort of motion right along the bed until it was less than a foot from my husband's face. The creature was completely silent for about 30 seconds, probably closer to 5, but it seemed like a long time. Just looking at my husband. The creature then placed its hand on his knee and ran into the hallway leading down to the kid's room. I screamed and ran for the light switch, planning to stop him before he hurt my children. When I got to the hallway, the light from the bedroom was enough to see it crouching and hunched about 20 feet away. It had turned and looked at me directly, covered in blood. I flipped the switch on the wall and saw my daughter Clara. The creature ran down the stairs with my husband and I rushed to help our daughter. She's very badly injured and spoke only once more in her short life. She said, "He is the rake." My husband drove his car into a lake that night while rushing to get our daughter to the hospital. He did not survive. Being a small town, news got around pretty quick. The police were helpful at first, and the local newspaper took a lot of interest as well. However, the story was never published, and local television never followed up either. For several months, my son Justin and I stayed in a hotel near my parents' house. After we decided to return home, I began looking for answers myself. I eventually located a man in the next town over who had a similar story. We got in contact and began talking about our experiences. He knew of 2 other people in New York who had seen the creature now referred to as the Rake. It took the 4 of us about 2 solid years of hunting on the internet and to come up with a small collection of what we believed to be accounts of the Rake. None of them gave any detail, history, or follow-up. One journal had an entry involving a creature in its first 3 pages and never mentioned it again. A ship's log explained nothing of the encounter, saying only that we were told to leave by the Rake. That was the last entry in the log. There were, however, many instances where the creature's visit was one of a series of visits with the same person. Multiple people also mentioned being spoken to, my daughter included. This led us to wonder if the Rake had visited us before any of our last encounter. I set up a digital recorder near my bed and left it running all night for 2 weeks. I would tediously scan through the sounds of me rolling around in bed each day when I woke up. By the end of the second week, I was quite used to the occasional sound of sleep while blurring through the recording at 8 times the normal speed. This still took almost an hour every day. On the 3rd day of the week, I thought I heard something different. What I found was a shrill voice. It was the Rake. I couldn't listen to it long enough to even begin to transcribe it. I haven't let anyone listen to it yet. All I know is that I've heard it before, and I now believe it spoke to me before when it was sitting in front of my husband. I don't remember hearing anything at the time, but for some reason, the voice on the recorder immediately brings me back to that moment. Thoughts that must have gone through my daughter's head make me very upset. I have not seen the rake since he ruined my life, but I know that he has been in my room while I slept. I know and I fear that one night I'll wake up and see him staring at me again.
Ow. Yeah.
I always do that at the end whenever I read that.
It's a good story, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a nice hook to it, and it kind of just keeps your attention at a constant, steady pace. It's got a good rhythm, and I can dance to it. I give it a 5. What do you think?
Uzi in the chat said it was Lovecraftian.
I can see that too. Definitely.
Yeah, it's I think what so after the first time I read it, I didn't sleep for like 3 nights, admittedly. And it wasn't because of the story, it was the concept of the creature itself. And it just really freaked me out. And there's some other really good, like I guess you would I don't know what you call other, fiction about the rake out there. It's it's a pretty cool creepypasta urban legend thing, but yeah, I chose to go with the rake because I like the story. I think the creature's kind of cool. It's kind of savage. It's savage like me. It mauls the fuck out of you, tears you the fuck up, and that's the same shit I do.
That's right.
I am
I
the
love
rake.
it. I like it. Well, shoot, we're at the top of the hour, and that does bring us to the end. We do our pre-close show. Everybody, that's in the chat out there. Right after we close up, I want you to go to Big Fat Brian's channel. Tell him I sent you, and he is going to bake a rotisserie chicken while he and you all get drunk as shit. And that's definitely the purpose. Is the chicken's just the entertainment. The real activity is the alcohol. So yeah, yeah. If you haven't even started drinking, man, that's all I'm saying. With that said, uh, Miss Ray, would you please show your awesomeness one more time?
Yeah, my channel, it's youtube.com/Rae Savage. Uh, and I can link it in the chat too. But I just basically do whatever people want to see. Um, I literally will let pretty much anyone on to talk about pretty much any subject as long as it's not breaking any laws and it's not going to get me banned, like obviously.
Mm.
But yeah, I'll let pretty much anyone on to talk about anything. I will do a blood sport type thing. I will do a serious debate. I will do a shit show. I will do a drunk stream. I will do whatever people want. The format is no format. A, it's just a, it's just supposed to be a fun thing to do.
Cool.
Anyone is always welcome. And my Twitter is, I'll put my at in the chat too. It's the rake, but it's spelled like with my name, so it's RAEKE. So, yeah, you could DM me to get in contact if you want to come.
Killer. All right. Cool. All right. DEM2KAI.
You can just find me at DEM2KAI on Twitter. I usually just shit post there, and if I'm in a stream, I'll probably just link it out and everything. I'm usually a bit more talkative. It's just when I first come into a stream, I prefer to be quiet, listen to the vibe, listen to what everyone's like, and then I'll usually get a lot more talkative.
Yeah, and also let everybody know how many hours of streaming have you done today at this point?
Oh, fucking Christ. This one was 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
go. The other one was another 2 hours. And you got fucking things for another 3 hours. Fucking hell, I've been about 7, 8 hours.
Yeah. So
Jesus.
yeah, that's a shift at work. So
I didn't
yeah,
get paid for it either.
8 hours. So, well, if you play your cards right, maybe one day you will. Think
It'd be
about
very
that.
interesting.
Consider that. And everybody, Sir Adamantine, you got your what tomorrow?
Drinks with friends tomorrow afternoon. Just remember, it's on my second channel because someone screwed over my first channel, so it's on the Pickled Parrot channel.
Fucking jihadists. That's all I'm saying.
Fucking,
No shit. All right,
best not
and
say that.
Occam, my friend.
Well, I am making some new videos that'll come out at some point. So that's all I have to say.
I forgot to add tomorrow. I am going to attempt to do a stream after the Kumite. It would probably be at 9 p.m. Central at the earliest, but I'm sure the Kumite is going to run a lot later than that. So, if it's not like too late, it'll be whenever the Kumite ends. But if it's like if we're approaching, like past midnight and it's still going, the stream's not going to happen.
I feel you. I feel you. Yeah. So it's going to be a busy day tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will be, of course, with drinks with friends, and then around the 9 o'clock Central Time, I'll probably hit C120 with Weibo unless she's got something else going on, and then Sunday it's pretty much going to be wide open. Actually, we're going to have our IRL stuff going on, and get to see some people that I haven't seen in a while, and that's going to be a good thing because one gave birth to me, and Chaos 120 is also a thing, and I've got this thing with a certain YouTuber who will remain nameless until we complete it. Got a collab thing going on. It's going to be funny as shit. So with that in mind, this is Irate Prostate. This has been episode 27 of the Cream Stream. And remember, if you're not creaming, you haven't done it right. So y'all take it good. Have a good week, and we'll see you back this time next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Irate Prostate out.